The Children's Bible, Genesis 29 through 33. Jacob and Rachel. Jacob went on his journey and came unto the land of the people of the east. And as he looked, he saw a well in a field, and 3 flocks of sheep lying by it. It was the well from which the flocks were watered, and a great stone was upon its mouth. When all the flocks were gathered around it, the shepherds would roll the stone from the well's mouth, water the sheep, and put the stone back upon the well's mouth. Jacob said to the shepherds, My brothers, where are you from? We are from Haran, they said. Do you know Laban the son of Nahor? He asked them. They said, We know him. Is all well with him? Jacob asked. And they said, All is well with him. And see, there is Rachel his daughter coming with the sheep. While they were talking, Rachel came with her father's sheep, for she looked after them. And when Jacob saw Rachel, the daughter of Laban, his mother's brother, and saw Laban's sheep, he rolled away the stone which covered the well's mouth, and watered the flock of Laban. Then Jacob kissed Rachel, and lifted up his voice, and wept in joy. He told Rachel that he was her father's kin, and Rebekah's son. And leaving the sheep, Rachel ran and told her father. Laban hastened out to meet Jacob, his sister's son, and embraced him, kissed him, and brought him to his house. Jacob told Laban all the things that had happened to him, and Laban said to him, Surely you are my bone and flesh. And when Jacob had stayed with him for a month, Laban said to him, Because you are my kin, should you work for me for nothing? Tell me, what should your wages be? Now Laban had 2 daughters. The name of the elder daughter was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. Leah was plain, but Rachel was very beautiful and pleasing to look upon. Jacob loved Rachel, so he said, I will work for you 7 years, if at the end of that time you give me Rachel, your younger daughter. Then Laban said, It is better that I give her to you than to any other man. Stay with me. So Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed to him but a few days because he loved her. At the end of the 7 years, Jacob said to Laban, Give me my wife, for I have fulfilled our agreement. And Laban prepared a wedding feast. But that evening, in the darkness, Laban brought Leah to Jacob, and he married her, believing that she was Rachel. When Jacob discovered that he had been deceived, he said to Laban, What have you done to me? Did I not serve you for Rachel? Laban said, In our land it is not right to marry off the younger before the firstborn. But if you will promise to serve me yet another 7 years, I will give you Rachel also as a wife. So Jacob took Rachel as his wife also, as was the custom in that time, for a man to have more than one wife. He served Laban 7 more years, and he loved Rachel more than Leah. Rachel did not bear any children and was unhappy, but Leah gave Jacob many sons. Then the Lord took pity on Rachel and allowed her to bear a son, and she named her son Joseph. After 20 years with Laban, Jacob had prospered exceedingly. He had many cattle and menservants and maidservants, and camels and asses. But he heard the words of Laban's sons, saying, Jacob has taken away all that was our father's, and from our father he has gotten all of his wealth. Jacob also saw that Laban was not the same toward him as before. And the Lord said to him, Return unto the land of your fathers, to your own land, and I will be with you. So Jacob called Rachel and Leah to the field, where he was with his flock, and said to them, I see from your father's face that he no longer regards me as he did. But the God of my fathers has been with me, and you know that I have served your father with all my power. Yet your father has cheated me and changed my wages 10 times. But never has God allowed him to do me harm. The angel of God spoke to me in a dream and said, I am the God of Bethel, where you anointed the pillar, and where you vowed a vow to me. Now arise, go out from this country, and return to your own land. Rachel and Leah answered and said to him, Whatever God has said to you, do. So Jacob rose up, and set his sons and his wives upon camels, and took all of his cattle and his goods, to return to Isaac his father in the land of Canaan. And when the time came for him to leave, Jacob stole away secretly while Laban was shearing his sheep. He passed over the river, fleeing with all that he possessed, and set his face toward Mount Gilead. On the third day Laban was told that Jacob had fled. He took his brothers with him and pursued Jacob for 7 days and overtook him on Mount Gilead. But God came to Laban the Syrian in a dream by night and said to him, "Take heed that you do not speak to Jacob, either good or bad." Now Jacob had pitched his tent on the mountain, and Laban and his brothers pitched their tents close by. Then Laban came to Jacob and said, "What is this you have done? Why did you steal away without my knowledge, and carry away my daughters like war captives? Why did you not tell me so that I could send you away, with merriment, with tambourines, and with harps? You did not even allow me to kiss my grandsons and daughters goodbye. In so doing you have behaved foolishly. It is in my power to harm you, but the God of your father spoke to me last night, saying, 'Take heed not to speak to Jacob good or bad.' Now if you left because you were longing to return to your father's house, why then have you stolen my family idols?" Jacob did not know that Rachel had stolen Laban's idols, and he answered, "Search the tents, and whatever you may find that belongs to you, take it, and if anyone has stolen your family idols, let that person be put to death." So Laban searched Jacob's tent and the servants' tents, but he did not find the idols. Rachel had hidden the idols in the trappings of her camel, and was sitting upon them. Laban searched her tent, but did not find the idols. And Rachel said to her father, "Let it not displease you that I do not get up in your presence, but I am not feeling well today." Then Jacob became angry and chided Laban, saying, "What wrong have I done against you? What sin have I committed that you should pursue me? You have searched all my belongings, but what have you found that was yours? Let it be set down here before my brothers and your brothers, and let them judge between us. For 20 years I have been with you. Your ewes and your she-goats have done well, and never have I eaten a ram from your flocks. The heat consumed me during the day, and the cold by night. Sleep departed from my eyes. I served you 14 years for your 2 daughters, and 6 more for your cattle, and you have changed my wages 10 times. Had you not feared the God of my father, the God of Abraham and Isaac, surely you would have sent me away now, empty-handed. God has seen my suffering and the labor of my hands, and he rebuked you last night." Then Laban answered and said to Jacob, "These daughters are my daughters, these children are my children, these cattle are my cattle, and all that you see is mine. What could I do against my daughters and the children they have borne? Therefore, come, let us make a covenant, and let it be for a witness between you and me." So Jacob took a stone and set it up for a pillar. Then Jacob said to the men with him, "Gather stones and make a heap." They did so, and there they ate upon the heap. Then Laban said, "Behold this heap, and behold this pillar, which I have cast between me and you. This heap is a witness between us. I will not pass over this heap to you, and you shall not pass over this heap to harm me. The God of Abraham and the God of Nahor judge between us." Jacob swore by the fear of his father Isaac. Then he offered sacrifice upon the mount, and called his brethren to eat bread, and they ate and tarried all night on the mount. Early in the morning Laban rose up and kissed his sons and his daughters and blessed them. He departed and returned to his own land. Now Jacob went on his way, and the angels of God met him. And when he saw them, Jacob said, "This is God's host." Then Jacob sent messengers before him to Esau his brother in the country of Edom. He commanded them, saying, "Thus you shall speak to my lord Esau. Your servant Jacob wishes to say to him that he has stayed with Laban until now. He has oxen, donkeys, flocks, men servants, and women folks. He is sending to tell this to my lord, that he may find grace in his sight." Later the messengers returned to Jacob, saying, "We went to your brother Esau, and now he is coming to meet you, and he has 400 men with him." Jacob was greatly afraid. So he divided his camp into 2 halves, the people that were with him, the flocks, the herds, the camels, and all that he had, saying, "If Esau should come upon one camp and kill everyone, then the other camp might be able to escape." Then Jacob said, "Deliver me, I pray you, O God, from the hands of my brother, from the hands of Esau, for I fear him, lest he will come and strike me, sparing neither mother nor children." Yet you have said to me, I will surely do you good, and make your race as the sand of the sea, which cannot be numbered because of its multitude. Jacob spent the night there. Then he took from his possessions at hand a present for Esau his brother, 20 goats, and 200 she-goats, 20 rams, and 200 ewes, 30 milking camels and their young, 10 bulls and 40 cows, 20 donkeys and 10 colts. He delivered them to his servants, keeping each drove separate from the others. Then he said to the first servant, When Esau my brother meets you and asks, To whom do you belong, and where are you going, and to whom do these beasts before you belong? You will answer, They belong to your servant Jacob. They are a present for my lord Esau, and behold, your servant is coming behind us. Jacob gave the same order to the second servant, and then to the third, and to all those that were walking behind the droves, saying, This is how you will speak to Esau when you meet him. For Jacob thought, I will appease him with the gift that goes ahead of me, and later, when I look upon his face, perhaps he will be happy with me. So the men left with the present, and Jacob spent that night in the camp. Now during the night Jacob got up, and took his 2 wives and his 2 women servants, together with his 11 sons, and passed over the ford of Jabbok. He sent them over the brook with everything he owned. Then Jacob was left alone. All night long he wrestled with an angel. And at daybreak the angel said, Your name shall no longer be called Jacob, but Israel, for you have contended with God, and prevailed. Then Jacob lifted up his eyes, and behold, Esau was coming, and with him were 400 men. So Jacob divided the children between Leah, Rachel, and the 2 maidservants. He put the handmaids and their children in front. Leah and her children came next, and Rachel and Joseph were last. He went ahead of them and bowed himself to the ground 7 times until he was near his brother. Esau ran to meet him, hugged him, and fell on his neck and kissed him, and they wept. Esau looked up and saw the women and children, and said, Who are those with you? These are the children, Jacob said, which God has graciously given to your servant. Then the handmaids came near, they and their children, and they bowed themselves. Then Joseph and Rachel came near, and they bowed themselves. And Esau said, Also, what do you mean by all this flock and cattle that I met? And Jacob said, Those are to find grace in the sight of my lord. But Esau said, I have enough, my brother. Keep what is yours for yourself. No, I pray you, said Jacob. If now I have found grace in your sight, then please receive this present at my hand. For I have seen your face as though I had seen the face of God, and you were pleased with me. Take, I pray you, the gift that was brought to you, because God has dealt graciously with me, and I also have enough. He urged him, and Esau took it, and said, Let us go and start our journey. I will go before you. My lord knows, said Jacob, that children are tender, and I have the care of ewes and milking cows with their young. Should they be overdriven even one day, all the flocks will die. Let my lord, I pray, go ahead before his servant, and I will follow softly in step with the cattle before me, and according to what the children are able to endure, until I come to my lord in Seir. Esau said, Then let me leave some of my men that are with me here to protect you. But Jacob said, What need is there? Just let me find grace in the sight of my lord. So Esau departed that day on his way to Seir. And Jacob went to Shalem, which is in the land of Canaan, and he pitched his tent outside of the city. And he bought the parcel of land where he spread his tent for 100 pieces of money, and there he erected an altar, and called it Eliho Israel.